Hi everyone, I'm Liz, a trauma-informed yoga educator and passionate advocate for emotional and mental health. In today's episode, I'm going to unpack something close to my heart, what trauma-informed Yin Yoga really means and why it's deeply needed in modern yoga spaces, especially in our overstimulated, performance-driven world. If you're a yoga teacher or yoga practitioner, or someone who felt the profound shift of slowing down on the mat, this conversation is for you. So let's start with what trauma-informed Yin Yoga is not. Trauma-informed Yin Yoga is not a yoga style that treats trauma or that tries to fix anyone. It's not about being still or soft and gentle all the time either. It's definitely not a buzzword to slap onto any yoga class description to attract more students. It's an approach, a set of teaching principles, a way of being with others and ourselves with care, presence, and awareness of the impact of trauma has on the body, mind, and spirit. It's really the intersection of the stillness, gentle movement and introspection of Yin Yoga, the understanding of trauma and how it affects our nervous system, the art of holding safe, attuned space for emotional and somatic processing. It's a practice rooted in the nervous system, not the aesthetics of yoga poses. Yin Yoga, with its slow pace, naturally invites us into the parasympathetic realm of the nervous system, emotional regulation and introspection. But without a trauma-informed approach, stillness can feel quite triggering for many. It can lead to disassociation, overwhelm, or emotional dysregulation. Therefore, trauma-informed Yin Yoga is about creating a space that recognizes this and actively works to reduce triggers, potential re-traumatization, inviting agency and supporting nervous system regulation. So why Yin Yoga is such a powerful container for trauma-informed work? Yin Yoga, with its long-held postures, allows time for introspection, the observation of physical, mental, emotional sensations that might arise during our practice. It targets the deep connective tissues of the body, mainly the fascia network. By accessing these deep layers of the body, we can access deeply buried, unprocessed emotions, stuck energies, and even trauma trapped in the body. Yin Yoga also works on harmonizing the flow of qi, vital force, in the meridians, the subtle energy channels of traditional Chinese medicine. When the qi, the vital force, becomes blocked or imbalanced in the meridians and their related organs, we might experience certain physical, mental, emotional challenges. And we can balance and harmonize the flow of qi in these energy channels with various techniques such as acupressure, acupuncture, or Yin Yoga poses. Each meridian, besides its physical aspect, also has an emotional aspect. And by tackling the emotional aspect of the meridians, we can also indirectly affect the nervous system. Just to give you an example, liver and gallbladder meridians in traditional Chinese medicine correspond with the emotion of anger. Anger is the main emotion we experience when our nervous system is in a fight response. By practicing poses that work on the liver and gallbladder meridians, we can support our nervous system to return to a regulated state from a fight response. We are going to learn about the various nervous system states in the next episode. To avoid emotional overwhelm, however, it is important to honor and respect our physical or mindful edge. Our physical edge is the limit of tolerance of the tissues against mechanical stress. We enter into Yin Yoga poses slowly, mindfully, approaching our physical edge, basically the natural boundary of the body where it stops our movement into the pose. Important not to muscle our way into the poses, overriding the edge. We only rely on the pull of gravity on the body. Our edge, however, is not always a physical one. It might be a mental, emotional edge, a mindful edge. We may be unconsciously hold back from going deeper into a pose to avoid a flood of painful memories, thoughts, or emotions we might not be ready to process yet. Overriding the physical edge leads to physical injury in the body. Overriding the mental, emotional edge might lead to overwhelm. Therefore, it's super important to honor and respect our edges wherever they appear during our practice. Too often we are taught to push through discomfort, to hold poses no matter what. In trauma-informed Yin Yoga, we don't do that. We teach students to listen inward, honor their felt experience, and trust their own body and the signals. What are the core principles of trauma-informed yoga? First of all, choice and agency. We always invite, never demand. The teacher's language and vocabulary are invitational, offering multiple options for entering and exiting poses. Everything is optional. There is no perfect shape. Students are encouraged to modify, move, or rest as they need it. The classes are process-oriented and not goal-oriented. Instead of focusing on how the asanas look, we focus on how we feel in the shape of the asanas. We adapt the practice to the student and not the student to the practice. Nervous system awareness. We understand the nervous system responses, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and how they manifest in a yoga class setting. And we offer tools and practices that support nervous system regulation. Informed consent, boundaries, and ethical touch are also important principles. We don't assume that everyone is okay with physical touch. In fact, I do not offer any hands-on adjustments in my Yin Yoga classes. Human touch can be potentially healing, but can be potentially re-traumatizing. Without knowing the trauma history and potential triggers of your students, touch can be a slippery slope. An experienced teacher must have the sufficient skills and vocabulary to guide their students safely in and out of the poses with verbal cues only. If physical touch is absolutely necessary, it must only be applied with consent. Informed consent is obtaining explicit permission before engaging in any physical touch, so students can remain completely in control of their own experience. Consent is an ongoing process, explicit, and never to be assumed. Ethical touch is guided by the principles of respect, professionalism, and safety, offering assistance only when necessary and appropriate. It is used to guide alignment, enhance relaxation, provide supportive feedback, or to co-regulate with our students, never to force a posture or impose an adjustment. Another important principle is attuned space holding and unconditional positive regard. It means offering acceptance, empathy, and respect to another person without judgment or conditions, regardless of their behavior, beliefs, or background, or abilities. We hold space for students as they are and not as we expect them to be. We let go of assumptions, allowing for emotional expression, and trust each student's inner processes, creating a space where students feel seen, safe, and not judged. As a trauma-informed teacher, your presence, tone, and attitude communicate much more than your cues. When students sense your unconditional positive regard, they begin to soften, explore, and trust again within themselves and also within the space you are co-creating. The therapeutic presence of a teacher is another important point. Holding space means to offer a grounded, compassionate, and non-judgmental presence where another person can safely explore their own experience. It's an act of witnessing without controlling, allowing others to unfold in their own time and way. Teachers' attunement to students' needs is the ability to sense and respond appropriately to the emotional state of the student and adapting the class to meet the individual needs of the participants. Offering modifications and variations is necessary. Trauma-informed Yin Yoga classes, we are creating safe therapeutic spaces. We aim to create a welcoming space where students experience the felt sense of safety, which is an individual's subjective and intuitive experience of feeling safe within their body and in their environment. It goes beyond the rational understanding of safety and involves a deeper, embodied sense of security. Individuals who have unprocessed trauma, particularly those who have encountered early childhood and attachment trauma, such as neglect, physical, emotional, mental, or sexual abuse, have a compromised or a limited capacity for finding a felt sense of safety in their bodies. If a person has a felt sense of threat, no matter how safe their environment is, the survival systems will be turned on. The felt sense of safety is one of the most important conditions for any therapeutic environment. Trauma-informed Yin Yoga classes, we use titration. Titration is a gentle and gradual approach to exploring sensations, which allows individuals to process and integrate experiences at a pace that feels safe for them. It introduces elements of the yoga practice in small, manageable parts as a gradual progression. Students are encouraged to listen to their bodies, practice self-awareness, and the ability to regulate their own experiences. Safe exploration of sensations and movements gradually helps to build a sense of safety and trust. How unprocessed trauma might show up in a yoga class setting. Have you ever seen a student bursting into tears during Shavasana, or becoming restless, unable to stay in a pose for long, or seemed spaced out, checked out, or barely present, or simply storming out of a class? These are signs that something deeper is surfacing. When someone is finally safe and still enough to feel, all the things they have suppressed may come to the surface. That is the gift and the challenge of Yin Yoga. Trauma-informed Yin Yoga teaches us how to hold space for those moments without jumping in to fix without making it about us, and without overriding what the student needs. And why this matters so much now more than ever. We live in a world that's chronically dysregulated. Hustle culture has normalized burnout. Social media drives comparison and nervous system activation. Many of us live with unprocessed traumas or completely disconnected from our bodies and emotions. Trauma-informed Yin Yoga invites us back to ourselves, gently, slowly, compassionately. I used to teach Yin in a more traditional way. Hold a pose, use the props, breathe. But I noticed some students were really struggling. I saw the fidgeting, the tears, the frustration. Since shifting into a trauma-informed approach, everything has changed. My students feel more seen, more safe, more regulated and grounded even after one class. They feel free to be themselves, messy, sensitive, vulnerable, emotional. And I personally feel more grounded and clearer in how I serve others. Trauma-informed Yin Yoga is not about fixing anyone. It's about remembering to slow down, feeling what's been unfelt, and creating a space where healing can happen, not because we force it, but because we allow it. If this resonates, I invite you to download my free ebook, Meridians, Emotions and Yin Yoga. I invite you to join my next free webinar series about trauma-informed yoga, and to join my next teacher training to deepen your practice and teaching. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. For being here, for the work you do, whether on your mat, in your classroom or in your everyday life. Much love, Liz.